from the Big Flim Studios in sunny Southern California, it's Big Flim's Pigskin Picks with your host, Lorenzo Big Flim Fleming. Hey folks, what's up? This is your host Lorenzo Big Flim Fleming here. We're off on week 11 of the college football season here on Big Flim's Pigskin Picks College Football Edition here on Big Flim Radio and TV. Alright, let's get started here. Like I say, I'm going to go local this time, my home state of Georgia, where we have the 5-3 Georgia Southern Eagles traveling to Troy, Alabama to take on the Troy... I think they're Troy. I forgot what their mascot is. I know it's Troy University. So, especially after coming off that big upset of Appalachian State last week, I'm thinking Georgia Southern is going to continue that trend and going to pull out a victory over Troy in this matchup. All right, our next matchup is our key SEC matchup, and also a key SEC East Division matchup where we got the number 6 ranked Georgia at 7-1 hosting 5-3 Missouri. Like I said, I saw last week's game and I was very happy with the performance, and I guess Coach Kirby Smart said don't ever doubt Jake Fromm again. So with that being said, I'm going for Georgia to beat Mizzou Tigers between the hedges there at Sanford Stadium. Alright, let's continue on with our picks. Alright, we're going to the ACC where we have Florida State traveling to Chestnut Hill to take on the Boston College Eagles. Like I said, Florida State fired their coach last week, and they got a new interim coach who's currently been in the program for the last 26 years, going all the way back to Bobby Bowden when he was coach of the Seminoles. So hopefully that might, change their fortunes for them, but I doubt it's going to help him today's game against Boston College. So I'm going with Boston College over Florida State in this matchup. Alright, our next matchup is in the Big 12 where we got Texas Tech traveling to Morgantown, West Virginia to take on the West Virginia University Mountaineers. The folks are partying up there in the panhandle of West Virginia, but I'm going with Texas Tech over West Virginia on this one, folks. Then we go on to the Big 10 with 14 schools where we have the number 4 ranked Penn State Nittany Lions traveling to Minneapolis to take on the hot and charging number 17 Minnesota Golden Gophers. Minnesota's having a great year this year. They're 8-0, undefeated, as well as Penn State. They're undefeated as well. So somebody's going to take a loss in this one, but I hate to say it. I hate to go against Minnesota, but I'm going to stick with Penn State to go in there and beat Minnesota. It's going to be a close one, though. Alright, we're going to move on. We're going back to the Big 12 where we got number 12 ranked Baylor. They're undefeated, taking on TCU, Texas Christian University in Fort Worth, Texas, the Horned Frogs. And like I said, they're also undefeated. And I think they're going to continue with their undefeated streak and then get a close win over TCU. Alright, we're going to take on some independent schools next, where we got my beloved Army, United States Military Academy, the Army Gold and Black Knights, hosting the UMass Minutemen at West Point. So, like I said, the Army, they kind of struggled this year. So, I'm hoping that they'll right the ship this week and they're going to beat UMass in a close one, folks. Going to the ACC, we have the pitiful Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, aka the Bumblebees, aka the Broken Down Rex, traveling to Charlottesville to take on the Virginia Cavaliers. Like I said, I doubt if things will get any better for Georgia Tech this season, so I'm going with Virginia Cavaliers over Georgia Tech in this matchup, folks. Alright, we're going to move right along to our next pick, where we're going to the Pac-12, aka the Puke 12. Where we have the 4-4 Stanford Cardinals traveling to Boulder, Colorado to take on the 3-6 Colorado Buffaloes. Both teams struggled this year, but I'm going to lean towards Stanford to pull out a close victory over Colorado in this matchup, folks. Now we're traveling back to the ACC where we have the 5-3 Louisville Cardinals traveling down to Coral Gables, Florida to take on the Miami, Florida the Hurricanes, or the Canes, aka the Thunderstorm, at 5-4. Like I said, both teams kind of had a little bit of up and down this season, but I'm going to lean towards Louisville to pull a close upset over Miami. The U. Like I said, because I have family down there in Miami, Dade County, and so on and so forth. So, alright, folks, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Big Flim's Pigskin Picks College Football Edition for Week 11 here on Big Flim Radio and TV. Hey folks, this is Lorenzo Big Flim Fleming, the host and creator of Big Flim Radio and TV website. As you know, I am a host of 6 podcasts on Big Flim Radio and TV, designed for the general listening audience. Like I said, whenever you get a chance, check it out. Check out the website. Check out the online store for Big Flim Radio and TV themed products and little knickknacks and gifts for your friends and your family members. Like I said, you'll find it very interesting. I guarantee it. Like I said, the podcast covers news, music, talk. I wouldn't say news, but mainly talk about today's news and topics, as well as a channel dedicated to my fellow American military veterans, because I am a veteran myself. 21 years qualifying service in the Army and the Army Reserves, which includes 2 combat tours in Iraq and 6 months contingency operation tour in Kuwait. So I dedicate that show to all my fellow veterans and family members of veterans. So if you give a chance, hey, give me a chance. Give a listen. Check out the website at www.bigflimradiotv, that's one word, .com. Again, that's www.bigflimradiotv.com. I'll spell it out for you. It's BIGFLEM as in Mike, RADIO TV. And you can send me a tweet on Twitter with the hashtag FLEM, FLEM_radio. So like I said, give me a shot, give it a listen. And also, if you want to send a request for a song or want to make a comment or criticisms about any of the podcast shows on Big Flim Radio and TV, go ahead. I like to hear from you. Send me a shout out, or if you want me to do a shout out for somebody, or if you want to do a dedication on a certain show, just send it to the email bigflimradiotv@gmail.com. Again, that's bigflimradioandtv@gmail.com, and put whatever particular podcast show in the subject line. For example, one of the shows you're listening to right now is Big Flim's Pigskin Picks NFL edition, as well as college football edition. Also, you can send the subject line. You can use My Prerogative with Lorenzo Fleming, Reflections, Rockin' Into the Night, as well as Lorenzo's Jams. Again, give it a try. Check it out. Listen to it. Tell all your friends and your neighbors and your family members, and even strangers. You won't regret it. It's Big Flim Radio and TV.
Inside every bottle of Canada Dry Seltzer is a celebration. It's an exhilarating, tingly experience that touches your senses. Because it's a celebration of the healthy way more and more people are living today. It's a celebration for working out, for dieting, for taking care of your body. It's a Canada Dry celebration that will explode your thirst. Refresh your taste. Canada Dry Seltzer, the virtually salt-free sparkling water that's right for the way you live today. Because it's sugar-free, calorie-free, and of course, virtually salt-free. So Canada Dry Seltzer is nothing but pure refreshment. Come on, don't just refresh yourself anymore. Seltzer break. Are you ready for Canada Dry Seltzer?
Gnarly, dude. This is Jess McCauley. When I'm out hanging tin, catching the waves, checking out the chicks, and skipping Mr. Hand's class, I'm listening to Big Flim Radio and TV. Oh.
Welcome back, folks. This is your host, Lorenzo Big Flim Fleming here. We're going to continue on with our picks for Big Flim's Pigskin Picks College Football Edition here on Big Flim Radio and TV. If you haven't had a chance, check out the website. Like I said, you'll listen to this podcast as well as 5 other podcast shows dedicated to sports, music, talk, and veterans issues, especially with Veterans Day coming up. I will do a special Veterans Day episode of a podcast called Veteran Nation News. Like I said, for all you vets, if you have a family member who's a veteran or currently serving in the military, in the armed forces, like I said, pass the word and tell them to check it out. As well as check out our online store, since we got Christmas coming up, the holidays over the next less than 60 days. Like I said, good time to find something nice for your family, friends, loved ones, strangers, aliens from Mars and out in outer space. Check it out. Go to www.bigflimradiotv.com. Again, that's www.bigflimradiotv.com. If you want to send us an email, if you want to, be a guest picker, guest prognosticator, or if you'd like to give us comments and criticisms about our podcasts and shows and things of the like, you can shoot us an email at bigflimradiotv@gmail.com. Again, that's bigflimradiotv, one word, @gmail.com. If you want to send us a tweet on Twitter, you can also do that as well. Send it to the hashtag at Flim_radio. That's at Flim, FLEM, as in Mike, _radio, RADIO. Also, we have a Facebook group page as well as a Facebook page established. Just go to facebook.com and search for Big Flim Radio and TV. Alright, folks, let's get back to our picks. Now, we're staying in the ACC where we got the number 19 Wake Forest at 71, traveling to Blacksburg, Virginia, to take on the 5-3 Virginia Tech Hokies. Like I said, the Hokies, they kind of had an up and down year so far, but I'm going to lean towards Wake Forest to beat Virginia Tech in this one, folks. Now we're traveling back to the Big Ten with 14 schools, where we have the 5-4 Illinois Fighting Illini traveling to East Lansing, Michigan, to take on the struggling 4-4 Michigan State Spartans. And as I said, Michigan State really struggling this season, so I'm hoping that Michigan State Spartans will get back on the right track. I saw them 2 years ago in the Holiday Bowl game down in San Diego, and I had a chance to take a picture with Sparty, their mascot. It was very nice and very interesting, so I'm going with Michigan State over Illinois in this one. They got to prep up for their interstate matchup next week against Michigan. I think it's in the Big House. I got to double check, but you'll find out in our next podcast. Alright, we're going to the Pac-12, aka the Puke 12, where we got the 5-4 USC Trojans traveling to Tempe, the suburb of Phoenix, to take on the 5-3 Arizona State Sun Devils. Like I say, Clay Helton, he's still trying to hang on to his job, especially with their new athletic director on board now. So we'll see how that turns out. But I'm going to lean towards Arizona State in a close one over USC. Now, the big matchup for today's college football game, especially has college football playoff implication, as well as the SEC championship implication, where we got the number 2 LSU Tigers at 8-0. They were number 1 last week, but you know how the AP posters work. And of course, Ohio State Buckeyes, aka the Buckaroos, are number 1. But anyway, getting back to the subject at hand, this is the biggest game in the SEC, the best conference in college football per none, and also it's a SEC West Division matchup, because whoever wins this game has the inside track to go into the SEC title game to play the winner of the SEC East Division, which currently is led by my Georgia Bulldogs. So hopefully it'll be Georgia and either LSU or Alabama. I could care less which, but anyway. And they're going to Tuscaloosa to take on the undefeated Alabama Crimson Tide, Roll Tide at number 3. And like I said, it's going to be a tough one. Like I said, if they can get to Tua, I think he's back for this week's matchup off the injured list. Like I say, if they can get him, and also they can stick their cornerbacks and safeties against their wide receivers, and also they can line up in the box defense, nickel and dime package where they can slow down their running game, LSU might have a chance to pull up the big upset over Alabama, but we'll see. But I'm going with LSU, the Bengal Tigers, over the Alabama Crimson Tide, folks. All right, we're traveling to the Big 12 where we got the number 16 Kansas State Wildcats at 6-2, traveling to Austin to take on the 5-3 Texas Longhorns. Hook 'em horns! Well, Texas just hosted Jimmy Fallon this past week. I saw a little bit of the episode. Was it night before last? You know, he had a great time. And of course, that's Matthew McConaughey's alma mater. But I'm going with Kansas State with a slight edge over the Longhorns in this matchup, folks. Ha ha ha. Alright, now moving right along, we're going back to the Big Ten, where we have the number 18 Iowa at 6-2, traveling to Madison and Camp Randall Stadium to take on the number 13 Wisconsin Badgers, are also 6-2. It's going to be a tight showdown there in Madison and also in the Big Ten. So, I'm going to lean towards Iowa in a minor upset over Wisconsin. Alright, moving along, we're going back to local coverage. Well, I'm going to go with Georgia State, the Panthers. They're doing pretty good at 6-2. Traveling to Monroe, Louisiana, in the northern part of the state, to take on the Louisiana Monroe at 3-5. To me, based on the stats here, I think it's more like a no-brainer here. So I'm going to go with Georgia State Panthers and an easy one over LA Monroe. Alright, heading back to the Pac-12, aka the Puke 12. We got two struggling schools there. We got the Washington State Cougars at 4-4, traveling down from Pullman to Palouse to Berkeley to take on the 4-4 California Golden Bears. Like I said, both teams are struggling this season in the Pac-12. So I'm going to lean towards Mike Leach and the boys there at Washington State to pull a win over California. Now, our next matchup, we have Appalachian State. After that heartbreaking loss to Georgia Southern last week. So they're going to get back on track as they travel to Columbia, South Carolina, aka South Carolina, or South Kakalaki, for folks from the South who know what I'm talking about, to take on the struggling 4-5 South Carolina Gamecocks, aka the Game Chickens, the team that gave Georgia its only loss for this season. So I'm thinking the Appalachian State will get back on track this week, and they're going to knock out South Carolina in I wouldn't say a close one, but I think they're going to win, and I'm happy about that, folks. Alright, moving right along here, we're going to the West. Could be the WAC or the Mountain West, where we have the 4-4 Utah State traveling to Fresno in the San Joaquin Valley of California to take on the 4-4 Fresno State Bulldogs. Both of them teams are struggling so far this year, but I'm going to lean towards Fresno State in a close one over Utah State. Now we're traveling. The next matchup, we have the number 15 ranked Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish at 6-2, traveling to Chapel Hill to take on the 4-4 Duke Blue Devils. Notre Dame, like I said, they need this win, especially with the college football ranking. So I'm going to go with Notre Dame over Duke in this matchup, folks. Then, speaking of the former number 1 and defending national champion Clemson Tigers, they're ranked number 5. They're 9-0, and that's an AC, and we head back to the ACC. They're traveling to Raleigh and Carter Finley Stadium to take on the struggling NC State Wolfpack at 4-4. Like I said, this should be an easy game. Like I said, I wouldn't say it's a sleeper, but I don't think North Carolina State will give Clemson much of a challenge. So I'm going with Clemson wholeheartedly over North Carolina State Wolfpack. Now, folks, we're traveling to the SEC, back to the SEC, the best conference in college football per se. Well, we got two struggling teams. We got the 4-5 Tennessee Volunteers traveling to Lexington, Bluegrass Country, to take on the Kentucky Wildcats. And we know college basketball is getting ready to start pretty soon. Normally, that would be a big matchup in college basketball, but until then, we'll stick with football, and I'll go with the Kentucky Wildcats in a close one over Tennessee, folks. Alright, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Big Flim's Pigskin Picks College Football Edition here on Big Flim Radio and TV.
Flim Radio wants you to know that approximately every 51 minutes, someone is killed in a drunk driving crash. Buzz driving can also cause huge financial penalties with fines and legal fees. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk. Find out more at nhtsa.org.
It's It's a $1 a day sales event where you can buy a brand new mattress for just $1 a day. $1 a day for a brand new mattress? That's less than a cup of coffee. Times are tougher one, so Simpsons make it more affordable than ever to get a great night's sleep. So during our $1 a day sales event, I'll take $1 a day and your good credit to keep those restless nights away. $1 a day? That's less than a roll of antacids I go through every 5 minutes. Plus save hundreds on Simmons, Sealy, Spring Air, Miralax, and Air Limit Sit Sleep. Where just $1 a day keeps those groggy, grumpy mornings away. $1 a day? That's less than a shot of whiskey for just a minute every hour. We're even giving away a free set of sheets with every premium purchase and free local delivery. Plus free sheets? I'm turning white as a sheet because you're killing me, Larry. Don't miss Simpsons $1 a day sales event. Simpsons will be anywhere's advertised price on your mattress is free. Now open in West Covina and Santa Clarita.
Oh, one more thing. I don't know how I could forget. I can't get started in the mornings without my Folgers.
I'm not big on coffee.
Folgers is more than coffee, though. Their mountain grown freshness is in their cappuccinos and coffee lattes.
Oh, really? What flavors do they have?
My favorite is Caramel Groove Coffee Latte, but you can try their Vanilla Vibe, Mocha Fusion, or Straight Up Latte. They also have usual cappuccino flavors, French vanilla, English toffee, and cinnamon vanilla nut.
Sounds good. Looks like I'll be starting my mornings with the mountain-grown freshness of Folgers, too.
For mountain-grown freshness in every cup, look for Folgers in the new plastic canister. It's lightweight, stackable, and the built-in handle is easy to hold. There's a foil freshness seal that's easy to remove. The struggle with the can opener is no longer necessary. The snap-tight lid seals the mountain-grown aroma in and the air out. For your Folgers on the go, try Instant. And for even more mountain-grown freshness, pick up Folgers Whole Bean, available at all your local grocers.
Hi, I'm here today because I'm addicted.
Big Flim Radio and TV.
Get ready.
You know.
Now that's an addiction, man.
Welcome back, folks, to Big Flim's Pigskin Picks College Football Edition for Week 11 of the college football season here on Big Flim Radio and TV. Right now, we're getting down to the last couple of weeks of the regular season of college football before the conference championships, as well as the college football playoffs, which will actually start after the new year. So there's going to be a little lag time because of the holidays, and of course, students get out for their Christmas break and all that good stuff. So with that being said, let's continue on here. All right, folks, we're heading back to the Big 12. We got the 5-3 Iowa State Cyclones, or the Clones, traveling to Norman, Oklahoma to take on the number 9 ranked Oklahoma Sooners at 7-1. Like I said, Jalen Hurts is doing pretty good after he transferred from Alabama after Tua took his job. So right now, it seems like it'll be Oklahoma, and I don't know who else will be playing for the Big 12 championship in the next couple of weeks, but we'll find out. But of course, we're going to go with Oklahoma over Iowa State in this matchup, folks. All right, we're heading back to the WAC, where we got the 6-2 Wyoming Cowboys traveling from Cheyenne down to Boise, Idaho, to take on the number 22 Boise State Broncos at 7-1. Like I said, they had that nice little blue football field there at their stadium. And it's an indoor stadium, actually, because it's very cold there in Idaho during the winter months. So, with that being said, I'm going to lean with Boise State over Wyoming. All right, our next matchup is another WAC matchup, or Mountain West, where we have the University of Nevada Reno Wolfpack at 5-4, traveling down to San Diego, Cali, to take on the San Diego State Aztecs at 7-1. Both teams are playing pretty good this year. But I'm going to lean towards San Diego State in a close one over Nevada, since it's kind of close to where I live here in Riverside County. And also I have frat brothers there at San Diego State as well as Nevada. But I'm going with San Diego State anyway. All right, moving right along to another WAC matchup where we have the San Jose State at 4-5, traveling to Honolulu, Hawaii to get a little R&R there in the Aloha State to take on the University of Hawaii Rainbow Warriors at 5-4. Both teams kind of had an up and down season so far, but I'm going to lean towards the Rainbow Warriors in a close one over San Jose State. All right, folks, we're going to move right along. Like I said, we have a whole bunch of well-known teams that have their bye week this week. Like I said, we got Air Force, then we got Arizona, we got number 11 Auburn. They're off this week because they got another SEC matchup coming up next week, and then in another 2 weeks they got that big matchup, the Iron Bowl, between Alabama and Auburn. Then you got Houston's off, even though they're struggling this year. The Hoosiers 7-2, they're off this week. Kansas at 3-8, Les Miles, they definitely need a break. Then you got number 21, Memphis is off today. Number 14, Michigan is off today, needing a week off to get prepped up for their in-state rivalry against Michigan State next week. Mississippi State in the SEC is off this week. Navy, number 24 Navy at 71 is off this week. The Cornhuskers of Nebraska is off this week. North Carolina, the Tar Heels off this week. Oklahoma State, number 23, they're off this week. Number 7, Oregon Ducks are 8-1, they're off this week. They're getting prepped up for another Pac-12, Peak 12 matchup next week. Pittsburgh Panthers at 6-3, they're off this week. Syracuse, the Orangemen at 3-6, they're off this week. They need the day off. Then we got number 23, Oklahoma State. Okay, I think I said that already. They're off this week also as well. Then we have Texas A&M at 6-3. They're off this week. Like I said, Georgia play them next. I think it's either next week or a week after next after they play Auburn. And that's a key SEC East Division matchup for Georgia. So they're off. The Tulane Green Wave, they're off this week. And of course the sucky UCLA, the Bruins, aka the Teddy Bears, they're off this week. And as well as number 8, Utah. The Utes are 8-1 and they're off this week. So let's do a quick recap of our picks for Big Flim's Pigskin Picks College Football Edition for Week 11. Like I said, again, we start off with the local folks, my home state. We got Georgia Southern over Troy. The Bulldogs at number 6 over Missouri was an SEC East Division matchup, as well as an key SEC game. We got Boston College, the Eagles over Florida State, the Seminoles. We got Texas Tech over West Virginia. We got Penn State over Minnesota. We got Stanford over Colorado, Louisville over Miami, Wake Forest over Virginia Tech, Michigan State over Illinois, Arizona State over USC. And of course the big game is going on right now. Number 2 LSU over number 3 Alabama. It's going to be an upset in that one. Kansas State over Texas. Baylor over TCU. Army, the Black Knights over UMass, the Minutemen. Virginia over Georgia Tech, the Broken Down Rex, aka the Bumblebees, the Yellow Jackets. You got Iowa over Wisconsin in the upset. You got Georgia State over Louisiana Monroe. Then you got Washington State over California. You got Appalachian State over South Carolina. Fresno State over Utah State. Notre Dame over Duke. Clemson over NC State. Kentucky over Tennessee. Oklahoma over Iowa State. Boise State over Wyoming. San Diego State over Nevada. Hawaii over San Jose State. Well, folks, that about wraps it up for me. This is yours truly, Lorenzo Big Fleming, getting ready to sign off. And also tune in again next week for another episode of Big Flem's Pigskin Picks College Football Edition for Week 12. And also check out Big Flem's Pigskin Pick for Week 10 of the NFL season this weekend as well, folks. Make sure you check that out. And also check out the other 5 podcast shows, geared towards music, sports, talk, and veterans issues. Since Veterans Day is coming up on Monday, I want to give an early shout out to all my veterans, all the veterans of all armed forces that served our country and put their lives on the line to protect our freedoms and our way of life. So I give a special shout out to you folks, and I'm going to do a special Veterans Day episode of Veteran Nation News. So until then, tune in next time here on Big Flem's Pigskin Picks College Football Edition, here on Big Flem Radio and TV. Written and produced and hosted by yours truly, Lorenzo Wendell Fleming. Big Flem's Pigskin Picks College Football Edition is a production of Black Rebel Productions in association with Flem Media. Big Flem Radio and TV do not own the rights to the opening theme of the college football, the NCAA football theme, nor do they profit from it.
We're Big Flim Radio and TV.
This soothing music is for anyone who took the leading cold pill for a tough cold instead of Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine, because you could probably use some relief right now. See, the cold pill only relieves congestion, but Alka-Seltzer Plus relieves congestion, plus tough body aches, sore throat, and headaches. Now here's some music for those who took Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine. It's tough medicine. Use as directed.